Okay. Okay, so we will start with this question number 41. Yesterday we discussed till 40, and today we will start with question number 41, where the question says that in case of, right, just a second guys. So the question says that in case of which of the following fossil fuels, the difference between the gross calorific value and the net calorific value is maximum. So a gross calorific value and net calorific value. In net calorific value, we don't count the latent heat, right? So I have already told you that net calorific value, we subtract the latent heat. And in case of gross calorific value, we do count it. Okay. Or you sometimes say it high heating value or low heating value, right? So we will see that. First, let's understand about what is the difference between these two terms. So as you can see here, the energy content or calorific value is the same as that heat of combustion and can be calculated from thermodynamical values or measures in a suitable apparatus. A known amount of the fuel is burned at constant pressure and under standard conditions, 0 degrees Celsius and 1 bar, which is the standard conditions. The heat release is captured as known as mass of the water in calorimeter. So bomb calorimeter is basically the instrument. Initial and final temperature of the water is measured. The energy release can be calculated using this MC delta T. It's it's a old formula to calculate, right? Then you can see that here these terms we have to highlight. Where H is the heat energy absorbed, delta T is the change in temperature, and M is the mass of water. CP specific heat, this is 4.18 joule per gram per degree Celsius, and the resulting energy value divided by grams of fuel burn will give the energy content. So the combustion process generate water vapor. Certain techniques may be used to recover quantity of content. So here we have higher calorific value or the gross calorific value or GCV, or we call it as higher heating value also. The water of combustion is entirely condensed and the heat contained in the water vapor is recovered. Means here we will count that heat. In the case of lower calorific value or net calorific value or lower heating value, they are the same. The product of combustion contain the water vapor and the heat in the water vapor is not recovered, means it is not counted. So you can say that the lower heating value or net calorific value NCV is equal to gross calorific value minus the heat which is recovered in the form of water vapor. So that could be a correlation between these two. We have already talked about them. And then there is a table which gives different fuels, like in the one column we have these higher heating value HHV or the gross calorific value, and the lower heating value or the net calorific value NCV you can see, and taken as 0 degrees Celsius and 1 bar pressure. And different fuel varieties have been mentioned in the leftmost column you can see here. So if you see here, Yeah. So you can see here that we have been given the values and the difference between them. It's a long table, right? So huge data have been given here. Okay. So you can see the natural gas here. This is the start mark, right? So you can see the value difference among these two in terms of BTU, say British Thermal Unit or other units, right? So the maximum difference is seen in the case of natural gas if I subtract the higher heating value from the lower heating value. Other fuel are also given there. You can see acetone, butane, diesel. So among the given values, it's basically the database question, right? So here the correct answer is natural gas. Is it clear to everyone? Is question number 41 clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt in this? Anyone? Anyone having any doubt? Clear. Okay. Now let's move to the question number 42. Okay. So it's a very good question, and it's based on the climate change and evolution correlation. So it says which of the following, question number 42. It says which of the most significant fingerprint of climate change with respect to biotic invasion. So it's correlating the climate change with biotic invasion, right? And it is saying that which among the following is most significant fingerprints, like which among the following organisms is the solidest fingerprint to indicate that climate change with biotic invasion. So you know that mosquitoes are like DDT resistant, right? And with change in climate or with time, they have become resistant to DDT, right? So let's first go to the, yeah, you can see here that climate change threatens to alter the global species distribution and perturb the ecosystem and cause species extinction. As climate change accelerates, biologists have produced hundreds of models to predict the biological impact of climate change. And most of these models extrapolate the correlation between species range and current climate to forest range under the future climates. Although an important first step, this approach neglects important biological mechanisms that determine the response to the climate change, right? So if I will see according to this, that which of the species are critically linked here, right? And in particular, if you see, yeah, so this dengue fever, which is climate sensitive, right? As you can see here, dengue fever, which is related to the mosquito, and it is a climate sensitive, right? So one of the study, it correlated that this dengue fever is climate sensitive. So here we can say in the given question that these mosquitoes, they show a significant fingerprint of the climate change with respect to biotic invasions, right? So mosquito is the correct answer, which is option number 2. Details have been given here. So question number 42 is second, which is mosquito. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt, any candidate? Okay. Now let's move to the next question. Yeah. So this is question number 3, and it's just a statement based question, and basically from the layer of atmosphere, which is from your literature only. We can discuss this. This is a Directly from our literature. So which of the following statement is incorrect? So they are asking the wrong one. The first statement, thermosphere and stratosphere are characterized by an increase in the temperature with altitude. Right? Yes, it is correct. In thermosphere also and in stratosphere also. Right? Temperature increase with increase in altitude. That is true. That when you go in stratosphere, yeah, and thermosphere, both the temperature increase, so it is true. Then troposphere and mesosphere are characterized by decrease in temperature with altitude in general. Yes, it is also true that as you go up, in case of troposphere and mesosphere, the temperature keep on dropping down. Then lower temperature is found in at tropopause, lowest. This is absolutely wrong. Tropopause, everything is constant, right? If I am not wrong, it is mesosphere, which is -1110 degree Celsius. Mesosphere में होता है lowest आपका -110 degree C. Right. Then the fourth statement, if you see, the left ray determine the vertical stability of the atmosphere. Yes, this is true. This is also true. So among them, only third statement is not true. So third is the correct answer because this they are asking which of the following is incorrect. Is it clear to everyone? So question number 42, it's the third which is the correct answer. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. Yeah, mesosphere is having the lowest temperature. Hope it is clear to all the participants. Now next move to the next question. And all the explanation we have given. Now let's move to the question number 44. So in question number 44, it is basically based on the pesticides. So it says, assertion says that between organophosphorus pesticide, malathion and parathion, the former is more toxic than later. So it's saying that malathion is more toxic, which is not right. Actually, parathion is more toxic than malathion, right? So that's why the first statement is absolutely wrong. You can see some of the explanation regarding this. This is a general mechanism, right, of these pesticides. Yeah. So malathion, as you see, so naloxone is more toxic than the parent malathion, right? But if you see, so in general, if you see that these malathion and parathion toxicity, because you literature have been covered here, right? So if you see the first statement which is written here, because we have given the whole total mechanism there, that they kill by inhibiting the acetylcholinesterase, right? You can see here they are inhibiting the acetylcholinesterase here, which inhibit the acetylcholinesterase and then kill, right? So this is the wholesome mechanism. And then you can see that, just a second guys. Yeah, so the first statement which is given in this question, this one, that between the organophosphate pesticide malathion and parathion, the former is more toxic than later. So former is basically less toxic, not more toxic. Like parathion is more toxic than malathion, right? So the first statement is absolutely wrong. Then second, that malathion is hydrolyzed by enzymes passed by mammals to produce relative non-toxic product. Yeah, this is true because we explained that the byproduct which is formed by the hydrolysis of the enzyme, right? Some of the mammals have this to produce relatively non-toxic products. So the byproduct which are formed by the hydrolysis of the malathion, right? So that's why to produce relatively non-toxic products. So that's why it is less toxic with respect to the mammals, right? So the second statement is true. So according to the 44, the questions, the correct option is fourth, where A is false and R is true. Just because of this reason, this malathion get hydrolyzed by the enzyme which are there in the mammal body, and they produce relatively non-toxic products. That's why they become less harmful or less toxic in comparison to parathion. But the statement is saying that the former is more toxic, which is absolutely wrong. So according to this, the first statement is false and the second one is true. So the correct option is 4. A is false, but R is true. Just a minute, guys. Okay, sorry for the interruption, guys. So there was a call. Now let's go back to the next question. Okay, so this is the question, which is question number 45. Question number 45 says that in the context of gaseous pollutant control using packed towers, consider the following statement, right? So for controlling the gaseous pollutants, we have some of the packed towers, right? And let's see first of the some of the literature about it. Then we can go back to this. So these are control of gaseous pollutants, wet scrubber and packed scrubber. So basically these are packed tower or packed scrubber, you can see, right? And yeah. So control of gaseous air. So packed bed tower, the packed bed scrubber or packed tower is designed to remove liquor that absorb or chemically react with pollutant. Some vapor can be simply removed by considering through the cooling effect of the circulating liquid. The clean air is then discharged at the atmosphere, and the contaminated scrubbing liquor is either disposed of in an improved manner or chemically treated and recycled. In some cases, the collected contaminant can be recovered and reused in the original or other process, gaseous or vapor pollutant, from similar gas stream to flow rates. Another problem occurring in the spray tower is that effect droplet falls short distance on the airstream, and the process is accomplished by contacting the contaminants airstream with the scrubbing typical application. So these are applied at the following places. You can see there. So chemical production, fertilizer production, processing, pulp and paper, petrochemical, pharmaceutical, at these places, these can be used. And then packed bad material in the chemical processing. So packed bad material in the chemical processing, packed bad, it is hollow. What it is a hollow tube, pipe or other vessel that is filled with packing material, means absorbing material. The packing can be randomly filled with the small objects like Rashik rings, or else it can be specially designed to structure packing. And packed beds may be contain catalysts, particle or adsorbents such as geolites, right? Silicon, which are honeycomb structures, and granular activated carbon. This can be there as a material. And the third special thing about it is, yeah. So the wet scrubber and the packed scrubber. So wet scrubber similar to those of the described when controlling suspended particles. So here, if you see that the uh, uh, used for the gas absorption, and gas absorption can be carried out in the packed scrubber. And if you see the movement, the concurrent and the cross flow packed scrubber design also used for the gas absorption. So it is basically the counter current mechanism which is there, right? If you read, it is like the counter current. I'll show you. Yeah, so this you can see here. The concurrent and the cross flow packed scrubber design is used for the gas absorption. In the concurrent design, right, both gas and liquid flow in the same direction vertically downward through the scrubber. Although it is not sufficient, it is not an efficient as counter current design, means opposite direction. Concurrent device can work at a higher flow rates. The increased flow prevents pluging of packing, which is airstream contain high level of particulates. So concurrent design afford lowered resistance to airflow. That is the benefit of concurrent design and cross section area to tower to reduce it. So this was about the concurrent stuff. Now we can see this question because we now have an idea about the theoretical part. So now you can understand this question well. So it is saying that it is saying in context of gaseous pollutant control using the packed tower, consider the following statement. And it is saying which of the following statements are correct. So the first statement, the flow of the effluent gas through a packed tower is counter current. I said to you that counter current is there and it is more effective. So this is true. The effluent gas and whatever material is being packed, the mechanism is counter current. Then the second statement, the packing material should have a small surface to volume ratio. This is wrong. It should be large. Surface area to volume ratio should be large. It should not be small. The packing material used to increase the contact time between the gaseous pollutant and liquid. Absolutely true. Because more time it will be contact. So first is true and third is true. So first and third is true. So A and C is true. So third is the correct answer. Third is the correct answer for question number 45. Anyone having any issue in this? Any problem, guys? All the participants? Okay. You should be very much clear about the options and then you have to pick in the case of correct and incorrect stuff, right? We're done with question number 45. Now let's move to the question number 46. So it's very simple question and you have to, which of the following, so question says that which among the following is the correct order of stratification of lentic ecosystem from top to bottom. So it is very simple. Once you will see the diagram, it will be very simple. Let me show you the diagram. So you can see here it is littoral, limnatic, profundal and benthic. Yeah. So you can see here from top to bottom if you ask. So first one is littoral, then limnatic, then profundal, and last it is benthic zone. Right, in the last it is benthic zone. So it is littoral, limnatic, profundal and benthic. So starting from here, 1, 2, 3, and in last it is a 4 benthic zone or benthos, right? So that can be taken as the correct answer starting from the top. And all the zone have been decided on this basis also. And furthermore, profundal and benthic zone are there. So you can see here we have benthic zone community, littoral zone community, limnatic and profundal. So first is the correct answer according to the, so littoral, limnatic, profundal and benthic. So first is the correct answer. So 46 is the first. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt in this? If you see from top to bottom. Yeah, littoral, limnatic, profundal and benthic. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt in this? Okay. It's clear to all the candidates, right? Now let's move to the next question. Now let's move to the question number 47. Which is the next question. And it's a very good question. Yeah. So in this question, question number 47. So they are saying that consider the following gases: carbon monoxide, methane, HCFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, SO2, SO3. These gases removed from the atmosphere by the process of oxidation. So it is asking that which are the gases which can be removed easily by the process of oxidation. Right. So see, those gases which can be oxidized and can be removed from the atmosphere among the following can be seen from here. See, so you can see here that these gases, the atmosphere in an oxidizing medium, because we have OH radical there and other gases, especially OH radical in the daytime. So many environmentally important trace gases are removed from the atmosphere mainly by oxidation. And greenhouse gases such as methane, which is one of the options. Then CO, right? Okay, CO can also be removed. Methane can also be removed. Then we have HCFC. HCFC can also be removed. So these can be oxidized, right? So these three are the gases which can be oxidized among the given one. So if I go by this question, so the first one, CO, can be converted into CO2 by oxidation. You know that. Methane can also be oxidized. HCFC can also be oxidized. CO2 and SO3, they are already in the oxidized form. They can't be, right? So the first three, A, B, and C. So the correct answer is that CO can be oxidized, methane can be oxidized. So those two gases which are removed from atmosphere by the process of oxidation. And then HCFC, hydrochlorofluorocarbon. So A, B, and C. Right. So A, B, and C, which is the second, is the correct answer. So second is the correct answer for this. Is it clear to everyone? Carbon monoxide, methane, and HCFC can be removed by the process of oxidation easily. SO3 is also oxidized, already oxidized. CO2 the same, so we'll not go for them. We'll only go for CO, CH4, and HCFC. Is it clear to everyone? Is it clear to all the candidates? Okay, thank you. Now let's move to the next question. Yes, yes, Hemlata, you are right. But here we will see uh, that like one of the category, yeah, HCFC, yeah, they are reactive. Yeah. So that's why. हाँ, वो भी हो जाता अगर SO2 होता, but यहाँ पे SO3 है, right? नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन देखते. Okay, so this is a direct question from your literature. Question number 48. It's a direct question from your literature and the standard books also, right? So there is no confusion among this, and it have been repeated many times. So artesian well, it's basically a direct question. So artesian well is basically a well water underneath the surface having a sufficient hydraulic pressure. So third is the correct answer for 48. We can see some of the literature if required. So artesian well is the well water underneath which surface having the sufficient hydraulic pressure. So that is called as artesian well. It is basically from the groundwater hydrology, as you know. So third is the correct answer, right here for artesian well. So you can see here we have shown the diagram of artesian well. So here you can see that well that tap those confine aquifer, and if altitude that is pressurized aquifer pushes water tapping, and if this level is below the land surface latitude, right side artesian well diagram, the water will not shoot out the well land surface. The well is called an artesian well, but if the piezoelectric level is higher than the well and altitude at the land surface, left side of artesian well in the diagram, the water will be pushed upward in the well and emerge on the land surface. So having the sufficient hydraulic pressure with no pump needed, and this kind of well is flowing artesian well. So just to remind you guys, and it is given in many of the standard books also, right? So this was about question number 48, which is having the sufficient hydraulic pressure, as you can see. So we can see here that artesian well is here in your picture, right? And having the sufficient hydraulic pressure. So according to the given options, third is the correct answer. Water underneath the surface having the sufficient hydraulic pressure. Such kind of well is called as artesian well. Right. Now let's move to the next question. Hope it is clear to all the participants. Any doubt, anyone? Any clarification you need? Clear. Okay. Thank you very much for the response. Now we can move to the next question. So it's again a repeated question, and it's a very good question. Question number 49, and multiple times it have been asked. So the nighttime tropospheric chemistry is dominated by which of the following chemical species? So it is no doubt nitrate radical. Okay, nitrate radical, which is the second option. So in the night time, it is nitrate radical, night time, right? And in the daytime, it is hydroxyl radical for daytime. Okay, so daytime it is OH radical and nighttime it is nitrate radical. Keep that in mind. The chemistry which is driven by, and you can see here also in our explanation. So nighttime, the nitrate radical is photochemically unstable, but is one of the chemically important species in the nocturnal atmosphere. Nocturnal, basically nighttime. Nitrate radical, right? So keep that in mind. Then we have and daytime you can see the OH radical is the king, right? OH radical is the king in the daytime. Daytime chemistry, photochemistry is driven by OH radical, right? Yeah. So daytime it is hydroxyl radical. Yeah, OH radical basically. So in this diagram, it is given very well that how the nitrate radical is active in the night time and how it play a crucial role. Okay, nitrate radical chemistry. And daytime, the counterpart is OH. Daytime, you can see the counterpart is OH radical, hydroxyl radical, which is the atmospheric detergent, atmospheric scavenger, most reactive species, reactive oxygen species. Is it clear to everyone? It is a literature based question. Is it clear to everyone? Clear to all the participants? Anyone having any doubt in this? Anyone having any doubt in this? Okay. Right. Let's move to the next question. Yeah, so this is the question number 50, which is from the biomedical waste, which is an important aspect. Right. So question number 50 we can see. So according to Biomedical Waste Management Rule 2116 of Government of India, which colored non-chlorinated plastic bags should be used for the collection of human anatomical waste. So now this has made to yellow, right? Some correction have been done or some modification have been done, right? Human anatomical waste, it have been moved earlier in the older versions. Most of the places it was red, if I am not wrong. So you can see here, it have been made yellow. So you can see here yellow. You can see directly it is given yellow. Yeah, it is 2016 version. Human anatomical waste, human tissue, organ, body parts, and fetus below the variability period as per the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. So this can be given here, yellow colored non-chlorinated plastic bag, right? Treatment method is this. So this can be remembered easily. So this table is there. You can just have a, so this is basically the, so the correct option here is yellow. So yellow is the correct answer. Question number 50, yellow is the correct answer. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt in this? Yes, yes, earlier it was red. Absolutely, earlier it was red. Right. Is it clear to everyone? Anyone having any doubt? Okay. Then we will stop here because the other questions we will take in the next session, right? And you should keep practicing these questions. So I'll see you in the next session, right? And you should keep studying because the date of the exam can be any time, right? So thank you very much for your patience.